Man, I tell you, I'm sure you've heard the news by now, but hell has officially frozen over. In fact, it's worse than that, right? There's human sacrifice in the streets. Dogs and cats are living together. It's utter mass hysteria. And why? Why all this commotion? Well, Harley Davidson has decided that they're going to build an adventure motorcycle. I actually learned about this announcement from one of my viewers, right? He made a comment on one of my videos that Harley Davidson was going to be producing the Pan America Adventure Touring Bike. And I said, really? They're decided to do that, huh? And well, I had heard about it, right, from, reading in some magazines and things that Harley had trademarked that name, right? But I just figured, probably like most people, that they're gonna slap some leather bags on a Sportster and call it a touring bike, right? I mean, that's usually the kind of thing that Harley is known for. However, I was really wrong. I mean, boy was I wrong, right? And I've never been really a Harley fanboy, right? Not that I dislike their bikes, right, or dislike the company, it's just that they have not been my style. And to be honest with you, they're kind of boring and repetitive, right? I mean, I've been there, done that. You've seen these things over and over and over again, and there was never really anything new and everything exciting coming out from Harley Davidson. However, it looks like times are really about to change. Harley has announced that they're going to make this new adventure touring bike along with a new Street Fighter and a whole line of other bikes, including some electric bikes, some electric motorcycle and bicycle hybrids that they'll be selling in other foreign markets. So it looks like Harley Davidson is really taking a step to change their image and change the kind of company, right, that they've been over the last 115 years. Now, I have to give Harley credit, right? Over the last 30 years or so, they have been really, really successful. And they've done that by understanding who their client is and really catering to those clients, right? They knew that it was the baby boomer guys like me, right? And the guys who were interested in that kind of, leather-clad, motorcycle rebel kind of image, right? That's who Harley has been marketing to over the last 30 years or so, and what has been the predominant motorcycle culture during that time, at least here in the U.S. Now, we all know, because we've talked about it here on this channel, that motorcycle sales since 2008 have been cut in half, right? And 2008, or just before that, they were selling about 1 million bikes a year, just under 1 million bikes a year. And now that level is at somewhere around 500,000 bikes a year here in the United States. And of course, Harley Davidson, being the largest single retailer of motorcycles here in the US, has taken probably the biggest hit. And of course, Harley Davidson, being a great company when it comes to marketing and understanding their customers, knows that they cannot rely anymore on we old baby boomer guys, right? They have to find ways to broaden their market, to bring new people into motorcycling, and they're going to have to do that by creating a wider variety of motorcycles and going out to other markets other than the United States, right? They want, within the next 10 years or so, to bring Harley Davidson up where 50% of their sales are from markets outside of the US. And Matt Levitich, who is the CEO of Harley Davidson Motorcycles, he's even said they need to switch their way of thinking. They need to change from building great motorcycles to building great riders. And they have committed themselves to bringing 2 million new riders into the sport, again, over about the next 10 years. And it looks like we're starting to see how Harley Davidson plans on attracting those 2 million new riders. First of all, they're going to expand the kinds of bikes that they are creating. Secondly, it looks like they're starting to change their marketing strategy as well. You don't see as much of appeal to, again, us old leather-clad guys. You're seeing more of appeal now to younger people. Again, an appeal to having fun and so forth on the motorcycles, right? Which think will attract more younger people into the sport. Now, I personally applaud Harley for making all of these changes. I think it is going in the right direction. They have to keep themselves relevant, not just to the baby boomer generation, but to future generations as well, right? They also have to keep themselves profitable, right? If they keep going, just doing the same thing over and over again, trying to appeal to the same buyer over and over again, well, eventually that is going to catch up with you. You have to attract new people into your sport, into your brand. All right, so now let's talk about this bike itself. Now, of course, all we really have are pictures and a few tidbits of information about the engine and so forth. So really, most people are commenting about the looks of this bike, and it is, well, it's striking and it is different. When I first saw it, my first reaction was, man, that looks big and that looks heavy, right? And that's one thing you don't want in an adventure bike, even though most of them are 500 or 600 pounds, right? Still, you don't want one that really looks that it's that heavy, right? And a lot of people have commented that it looks like they took the front end of a road glide, shrunk it down, and slapped it on an adventure bike. So this should probably be called the Dirt Glide, which probably isn't a bad name. For me, the more I look at this bike, actually the more I'm starting to like it. And the reason I am is because it is different, right? It is unique. So if it comes out actually looking anything like this, Harley is going to have something that is unique to Harley Davidson and doesn't look like it's trying to be a GSA or it's trying to be, you know, a 1290 or a Multistrada, right? It's going to have its own unique look and character. And again, I think personally that's good. And as far as adventure bikes goes, are looks really that important? I mean, there are a few bikes that are really nice looking, like the Ducati Multistrada out there, but most of them are pretty utilitarian, right? Even the best-selling adventure bike in the world, the BMW GSA, right, the 1200, right, it's not known to be a really attractive motorcycle, right? It really values function over form, again, which is really kind of what we want when we have an adventure bike. So more important than looks, at least in my opinion, is going to be how this bike functions and the features that it has on it. Because right now the adventure bike market is where a lot of the advancements are taking place, right? It's where you're going to find bikes with cornering ABS and traction control and driving modes and active suspension, again, and all the other gadgets that you would expect in a $20,000 to $30,000 motorcycle. In order to compete with these same bikes, right, the Harley is going to have a lot more power than their engines are normally able to produce, right? The Ducatis and the KTMs are making 160 horsepower, BMW's 120 horsepower, and Triumph somewhere up in that range. So right now, Harley V-twins are making something around 75, 80 horsepower. Right? And, you know, they do have a lot of torque, right? But people who are riding adventure bikes are going to expect a much different character than is normally available on a cruiser. So right now we do know that Harley is making a brand new engine for this bike, and will probably be using it in their Street Fighter as well. And that is a 1250cc engine. It's a 60-degree V-twin, and it's going to be overhead cams and, of course, water cooled. So along with the engine and with the electronics on this bike, Harley is going to have to be able to bring this bike in at a reasonable weight as well, right? Somewhere in the 500 to 550 pound category. If they go much over that, then, you know, there's too many other choices out there that are lighter and have been around longer and are more advanced. So Harley has got a big task to do here, right? They've got to bring in a brand new bike that is light enough, right, nimble enough, has the power that it needs to compete with the competition and the electronics packages that it needs to compete with the competition. And so my question here is, are they going to be able to do that? Right? Harley has no expertise in building bikes like this. So I guess where is all this expertise going to come to pull this off? Now, while I do have that question, I hope that they can do it. I really think it would be great if we have an American company making an American adventure bike, and then that they can branch out and they can do all of these other sport bikes and other things that they would like to do. Right? They have a partnership right now with Alta Motors, right, where they're going to be making other smaller dirt-oriented electric bikes, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of cool things coming from Harley Davidson in the future. We're just going to have to sit tight and wait. So before I close here, I want to bring up one other point, and that is Polaris and Indian motorcycles. And I want to ask the question here is, will they have a response to this from Harley Davidson? Right? Traditionally, both Harley and Polaris and both their Victory and Indian brands have been very tight-lipped about what their future plans are. However, Harley has now changed the game, right? They have opened up and they are now letting everybody know where they are going, right? Where they want to lead. Right? And Polaris, are they going to be able to do that? Are they going to come out and show us the kinds of bikes and the plan that they have for the future? Right? I'm sure they have one, but does it involve making these kind of motorcycles, or does it still involve sticking with these big, heavy cruiser bikes and not trying to get into other segments? Again, I don't know the answer, but it seems like if they want to be competitive, they're going to have to give us that answer, right? They're going to have to give us, and future motorcyclists, more importantly than me, and the rest of me are old guys here, right? They're going to have to give these young guys something to be excited about. Because right now, Harley doesn't really offer anything, right? And Indian doesn't really offer anything. If a young guy wants, a dirt bike or, a sport bike, they've got to go elsewhere. Right? So it only makes sense that the Americans would start to offer more stuff, right? More types of bikes to attract a wider number of people. Because after all, as has been said many times by many different people, if we get people riding as kids, they're going to be much more likely to ride as adults. Right? So I hope that this signals a change in direction for American motorcycle manufacturers, and we'll see them, again, continue to open up and try to attract new riders. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, please, if you like what you see here, subscribe, and also consider supporting us by one of the means that we have available to you. All of those are listed in the description of this video, and we're going to be talking about this subject a little bit more in the Slab Insider section, so if you want to become one of those, please visit my Patreon page and read about how you can do that and get some additional content, right? Also, I have an ebook available out there called Traveling by Motorcycle, so you can take a look at that. Again, I think it has a lot of good stuff in it. So, all right, guys, thanks. Ride safe. Talk to you next time. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, please consider supporting this channel. In the description of this video, you'll find several ways in which you can help to support the channel and keep these videos coming. Just pick the ones that make most sense to you. Whatever it is, we greatly appreciate all the help. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.